Hello and welcome to a brand new Five Heart podcast live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on X. I'm your host, Greg Mahochko, and the co-host is Minnie Hunt. Hello, Minnie. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you, Greg?
I am doing tremendous. If I were any better, I don't know. I don't know how I was going to finish that up. I'm just doing excellent. Thank you so much. We have Melissa's in the house. Melissa is here. She was here first. And Fred recognizes that, saying that Melissa wins. So,
Ooh, good job,
congratulations, Melissa. I don't know what the prize is, but Fred will tell you what. DM Fred your name and address, and he'll put something about. No, I don't do that. Brando Sports World here from the beginning with Five Heart is all the heart you need. God bless you, Brando Sports World.
Yeah.
Tiger Shark Diver is here, been husking all day. Scott Schrader is here saying good evening, everyone. And Vince Watson is here with three, you can barely make them out, but three throw the bones, three black shirts, there we go. So, and I,
nice
shirt.
shirt.
Thank you. This is, I mean, it's like, I guess it adds to the, I don't know how well you can see it, but the graphic, like the screen printing is cracking, but it's a skull, so I guess it could be a little cracked.
Yeah.
Adds to the effect. I need a new black shirt. This is from cornborn.com. It's a few years old, and as you can tell, I've given it some wear. Jason Reeves is in the house tonight. What's up, Jason?
Hey.
I just hope that whoever's usually commenting on the burnt orange or the chartreuse or whatever of my shirt will be like, no, it's okay. It's black. It is. It is a black shirt. So
we know. And we can see the red stripe down the helmet. So you're good.
You think this would just make for a more appealing show?
Yeah.
There we go. Salmon shirt. That's what it is. TSD says the salmon one today is black. Salmon
okay,
shirt.
Greg.
Yeah,
How cute would it be if you and I had matching shirts?
I don't know. It would depend on if John was ever going to ship us anything. So.
Oh, that would be so cute too.
Fred says if Todd was here, he'd say Greg had a chartreuse caboose. Yeah, there's not really there's not a color that rhymes with badonk, I don't think. So.
Chartreuse is green.
Yeah, I don't think that would work.
No.
Josh is going to be late, but he will be here. Jason says, "Oh, forgot her name." Actually, he says, "Hey, Greg, now I know her name. You forgot your name."
Forgot my Jason Reeves. Just kidding.
Shameful, Jason. Cornstalker shirts. Yeah, we could. That's probably going to be. I feel like there's a version of a shirt, and I'm not artistic in any way, so I can't do it. Where there's like, it's a picture. It's a picture of a very non-specific football player, but there you see like rows of corn with like kind of a little bend and it's just a pair of eyes for the cornstalker.
And we call that.
Did
you just come up with that?
I did. Well, and apparently I'm going to have to give 5% to Vince because he was. But if we had such a shirt with the promo code Mini, you'd be able to save 10% on your order of the cornstalker shirt. But we don't have the cornstalker shirt yet. By the way, Jason says that you were almost not John all night.
I'll take that.
And let's see here. Living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the Five Heart podcast, is in the house and saying good evening. I was thinking about this, David, because he is a realtor. And Mr. Matney, you have to do me the honor of asking or answering this question. Do you have, and I like that this is a very private conversation now between me and Mr. Matney, do you have like can koozies? That's what we call them here in this region, with your name and business on them, because I'd love to put Living in Omaha David Matney can coolie right here.
It's a pic. You'll have his picture like blasted on the side of your can.
That's fine. That's fine. Yingling's not paying me, and David's here every week. So,
yeah, that's true.
Let me know, Mr. Matney, if you have that, we would most appreciate helping you and your business in any way we can. That is a great idea. I get them
great idea
once in a while. So
you're being very creative tonight.
Well, we
need to write these ideas down.
You should do that because I'm going to drink. No, oddly enough, I went to the doctor last Friday morning. And the doctor says what doctors have been telling me for, I'm 42. So for 30 years, like, Greg, you're heavy. I'm like, I know. And he looked at the first time I'd ever met this particular doctor, because my doctor was relocated, we'll say. And he says, I see you've, been struggling with your weight for a few years. I said, that's putting it mildly, doc. So anyway, he wants me to change my diet. And he says, if you can grow it or kill it, it's okay. He's like, but you want to avoid the pastas and the breads and the donuts. I was like, breaking my heart. So I've made a pact. I've really cut down on my carbs, and I don't eat after 8. Like, the only thing I put in after 8 o'clock is water, except on podcast nights.
Good going.
And the good news is I only have 2 cold. So it should be a more productive show than last year. Or last week, I mean. Mr. Matney, we'll talk. Yeah, you give me a coolie, and I will spread the good word. Spread the gospel of David Matney. That's a little blasphemous, but we understand what we're doing with that. Drake Westfield is here tonight with a super chat. Thank you very much, Drake. I wish everyone happiness, good health, and devotion to whatever team or college you like. Well, we wish you happiness and good health. But around here, there's only devotion to one team.
True.
And
yes. But that was very nice.
It was
so nice.
It was so positive that it really doesn't belong sometimes. No, it's fine. It's the off season. We're allowed to be as generous and benevolent as we choose to be, I suppose. So, Drake, we appreciate your generosity to the show. Thank you very much. I have to chuckle because Drake gave us $4.99, and again, I don't see that money, Minnie. Unfortunately, you don't see that money. John sees all that money, and he uses it to pay for a lot of the behind-the-scenes things, like StreamYard, which we use to do the streaming. We're adding you, Minnie, as an admin.
Hey, guys. Yeah, did you hear that?
Be prepared, everybody, because eventually she's going to be able to shut me up and boot me out. But in adding a 5th admin, because we have John and Todd and Andy and myself, and now Minnie, it's a significant bump in the cost of the service. So your super chats go towards make sure that we spend as little out of pocket as possible. So easy does it.
Yes.
I know. Yeah.
Hey, I'm moving up. I'm moving up in this world of ours. Greg.
Yeah. Fred says, whoa, Drake, you're too kind and even keeled for this crew. Yeah, I kind of alluded to that. Fred also says that Thunderhead Brewing has Cornstalker beer. So I've got to get with them. I feel like that would be a good opportunity, good marriage. Again, Yuengling, the unofficial beer of the Five Heart Podcast, until a good Nebraska brewery wants to swoop in and buy my allegiance, I like to say. So,
okay, question.
Answer.
Since we're talking about beer, I know that beer comes in colors, like dark and light. Is Yuengling a dark beer?
I would say it's more of an amber. It's more in the middle. I always drink it out of the can. Yes, there is. So there's actually a pretty wide spectrum of colors of beer, because this is considered an amber lager, and I'd like to say that I knew that off the top of my head, but it's right here on the can. I don't know. There it is, original amber lager. Okay. If you get into, there's pale ales, a lot of, you can get way down the rabbit hole, and unfortunately, I'm not the expert. I know people who are much more knowledgeable in beers than me. I'm just more of an enjoyer of beer. But yeah, you get into your stouts, and things like that. You can get into some really dark beers. I actually like a lot of brown ales as well. But pilsners are more of that goldenish color you're familiar with, on the TV ads with like Miller Lite or things like that. But like some more like citrusy beers. I like a summer shandy is more like pure yellowish in color. So
A summer shandy?
yeah, it's
Like almost like a
Leinenkugels is kind of the main one. I think the first one that did a summer shandy. But yeah,
not that I know very much about beers, but I would have guessed that you were a dark lager drinker.
Is it just because I'm so gruff and abrupt and tell it like it is?
I don't know why. I don't know.
The year was it 2014? 2014. I had 3. They were, gosh, it's like a Montana brewery or something, but I had them down in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and I only had 3. And there was no way that I should have been driving back to the hotel that night. I mean, I was a little farther gone than I thought. They were a heavy, high ABV beer. Anyway, let's see.
Okay.
Let's see. Jason says, "Hey, how about a link to whatever Super Mega League article you're referring to?" There's a lot of them. Don't get ahead of us, Jason. That's coming up towards the end of the show. For those of you who are new around here, we didn't ever used to have a format, and now we do. And I'm going to do my best to try to stick to that.
It's your format, essentially.
True. Because I wrote the article and I said, here's what we're going to talk about, and Minnie just put them in order. So.
Exactly. The same order that your article was in, so I didn't get yelled at this week.
I appreciate that. Fred says they've been fat shaming Greg since he was 12. Was the doctor a relative of Minnie?
Oh, God.
Scott's rubbing in my face that he's eating some pasta right now.
Ooh.
Let's see. In response to Drake, TSD says, "Sorry, it's only Huskers around here, but positive."
Positive Husker talk. Yep.
Jason claims or alleges that John uses the money for massages. I don't know what $4.99 is going to get you. I'm afraid to ask. Let's see. That's a good one, Fred. I think we're a little too early in the show to be making those particular references. So as far as beer, Jason, he wants to get into the whole Pilsner versus Lager versus Ale thing again. Not the expert at all. That's right. Never a drop of my Yingling is spilled, and it seldom sees a glass. And because I'm only having 2 this week, moderately responsible.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm getting all my carbs
Pace
for the
yourself.
week here tonight. Let's see. James Boardman says Minnie's Dylan Stalker Blonde Ale.
Not sure if I like that name.
It's let's just put it this way. It's not the worst idea we've heard on the show. It's not the best idea we've heard tonight. So Summer Shandy is for girls, no offense, says TSD, I guess.
Oh.
I mean, it's fine.
Oh, I just opened up Pandora's box. I didn't know.
Oh, it's fine. I'll say this. Is it my go-to? No. But if I'm at a restaurant that only has more mass-produced options,
okay,
if it's a hot summer day, I'll drink a summer shandy, and I'll do it with pride, Tiger Shark Diver. So how dare you? Okay. We don't want to start pigeonholing beers into demographics, because that's what got Bud Light in some trouble last year. Jason Reeves is shocked that there's a format and didn't get that memo.
Jason Reeves.
Let's see. All right, I think we're all ready to begin the show.
All right, 15 minets in.
That's fine. Hey, we haven't even got to the housekeeping yet. This is just fun.
No, because Greg sends me a message last week and says, "Minnie, I think we need to keep the show down to an hour and a half."
Mm-hmm.
How are we going to do that if you take 15 minutes to start the show?
Minnie, do you listen to terrestrial radio? like sports talk? Anything? So
Yes, sports talk, yeah.
okay, well but they don't always just go right into the hard hitting topics of the day. There's a little
I'm
banter. There's a little fun.
for 15 minutes.
Yeah, we covered a lot of ground. We have a we have a we have a couple of we have a T-shirt. We have an advertising / marketing opportunity to one of our regulars. We talked a little bit about beer,
True.
maybe provided a little education to you. I mean, I feel like it has
Yeah.
been a worthwhile now 16 minutes. We spent another minute just you complaining about the 15 minutes.
Okay, shall we move on, Greg?
I like this. This is a good one. Jason Reeves, we warm up slowly. You don't want to pull a hammy. That's a good one, Jason. Thank you. All right. Yes, let us begin the 5 Heart Highlights, week of April 18, 2024. That's how the notes begin. And you really wanted to spend a little time focusing on the wide receiver room this week, Minnie.
Yeah, you know why?
Mm-hmm.
Not only did we get a press conference with
yes.
the wide receivers coach and several wide receivers, but we have 3 amazing quarterbacks. And from last year to this year, okay, besides the quarterbacks, we need to improve in the wide receiver room. Who are they going to throw to? And I was curious just to see. So it just worked out that they had a press conference too.
Sometimes the stars align in the most productive of manners.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
Greg.
Yes.
That was a good quote just now.
Thank you. I don't want to take too much more time basking in the glow of your adulation, so let's move on. The press conference, yes.
Okay, so Coach Garrett McGuire, and I think as a fan base, we've all been kind of skeptical about him, and especially because, his room didn't really perform last year. So, it's really important that he gets it right this year. And one of the things that they're working on is beating press coverage. And he talked a little bit about that, how they're going to play on an edge. And, they asked, what was that really about? And basically, they're attacking, don't make fun. They're going to attack half a man, half a body, not straight towards the DB like they expect you to, right? Because the idea is that you're going to run past them.
Yes.
Okay, great.
I was trying to unmute my microphone and it took a few it's a tricky microphone, so yes.
All right. Any questions about that, Greg?
No, and I think it's important to note though, I don't know if the wide receivers missed some opportunities. In fact, I was trying to quickly here at least pull up, some stats, and I don't know how much I get as far as drops and things like that, but they were also a victim of the quarterback situation.
Yeah, for sure.
You had Jeff Sims come in and then he gets hurt, and then you Chuba Purdy, and then he gets hurt, and then you have Heinrich Haarberg, who has some success, but without that consistency, and look, we have Heinrich Haarberg is back, and I don't think that there's any speculation. Look, this is not my way on this show to give DR his flowers, because there's plenty of other people on this show who give DR his flowers. But I would say that we have upgraded the quarterback room across the board this season to last season.
Right. Absolutely. And so thus we have upgraded the wide receiver room by bringing in 2 experienced wide receivers, Isaiah Nair and Jahmal Banks. Go ahead.
I was going to say, tell me about, I was going to have you start with Jahmal Banks, because I know he came from Wake Forest. He's that big body type of receiver.
Yep. Yeah, he is. And he's actually pretty good.
We hope that we're not bringing in bums at this point.
Be quiet. Why do you have to point out the obvious?
Well, I mean, you said he's actually pretty good, and I was just, making a joke.
I know. Thank you for pointing out the obvious.
That's what I do. I am Captain Obvious.
Okay, so it was interesting because somebody said in the press conference, "Hey, you have quite a variety of bodies there." And it made me think, okay, I'm going to go and look at the roster and see kind of, and on the roster, they fudge. These guys, all you have to do whenever they're taking down, the size of somebody, a player tells them how tall they are and how much they weigh. So, I mean, it's a little iffy because here's an example. Nash Hutmacher and Isaiah Nair were standing right next to each other. They're both supposed to be, I think, 6'4". And, oh my gosh, there's a big difference. Nash Hutmacher must be at least, I want to say 4 inches shorter.
Okay.
At least. Anyways, okay, so as far as our bodies, we have Jahmal Banks and Janarin Bonner are both wide bodies at around 220 pounds, which is pretty big for a wide receiver. Isaiah Nair and Malachi Coleman are both long and lean, which is great because they can, box out the DB. And Demetrius Bell, Jaylen Lloyd, Jaden Doss, and Ja'Cory Barney Jr. are all guys under 6 feet, around 160 to 175 pounds. There's not a whole lot of meat on these guys, but that's a good thing because they're small, agile, and quick, and probably going to be great at slot receiver. So there you go. I mean, we have a lot of playmakers.
I like, so being a gentleman of a certain age, I living in St. Louis, when the Rams were here, we had like the Danny Amendolas, who of course went on. He followed that cookie cutter approach that Bill Belichick liked in New England after Wes Welker, that small slot receiver. But I also really appreciate a Calvin Johnson type of receiver. And I don't know if the height is there, but did you see, and this is, not just for you, but anybody in comments, the picture of Malachi Coleman, from this past week, and Grant, he's in pads, and pads of course add shoulder width and things like that. But you can tell that young man, and gosh, I'm so happy that he's a Husker.
I know, me too.
But you can tell that this weight training regimen has been
so good.
Right, big boost for him.
Yeah, they talked about that. Basically, anyone who is, has been working since the winter, they're putting on 10 pounds easy of muscle, these guys. So I wouldn't be surprised. And, your jump from a true freshman to sophomore really is a big jump physically. And
Zizek, I'm getting that right, says that Malachi is listed as 6'5". That's a good size. So I'm not looking this up. I'm not Googling, so I apologize for the inaccuracies, but I feel like Randy Moss was like 6'6", 6'7", and
yeah,
again,
that's his body. Yeah.
Yeah. But he was much leaner than Calvin Johnson. But what he was able to do, I mean, just again, using his body to his advantage. I know that's going to open up this tremendous group of people we have in the chat to a whole slew of comments and innuendos. But I undervalued Randy Moss when he was in the NFL because I didn't care for the teams that he played with, largely. But when you look back at his body of work, so Aaron Rostovsky says Moss was 6'4". So there you go. I would have thought that he was Fred knows. Fred knows when I say this opening the door for this group. He knows what I'm talking about. Tiger Shark Diver agree. Moss was a freak of nature. He wasn't the biggest, obviously. Aaron says 6'4". He wasn't the bulkiest, but what he was able to do with Go ahead.
I was just thinking back to when I would see him play. Reminds me so much of Malachi Coleman. Just those long strides and just dodging people. That's exactly what Malachi Coleman does. So yes, NFL caliber wide receiver for sure in Malachi.
David Matney, living in Omaha, the official realtor of the Five Heart Podcast, says, off topic, have you ever heard Julian Edelman's impersonation of Randy Moss? By the way, Edelman was another one of those small stature, slot receivers that they liked up there in New England. David, to answer your question succinctly as I can, no.
I haven't either. I'm going to look it up.
Now, I'm not the only one Googling, everybody. Just keep note. So I like the idea of, you have to – I like playing on the edge, and I also like the approach that I think needs to be implemented more, at least more successfully, is being able to work the sidelines a little bit better. I think too often, I saw a graphic or a tweet, I guess, this past week saying that was 2021 Nebraska the best 3-9 team in the history of college football. And when you look at statistics,
yes,
maybe, but at the same time, you're still 3-9, so there's not a whole lot to hang your hat on. But how many of those games could have gone the other way if you could have implemented and performed a 2-minute drill? Not yet, Fred. That was a little bit more successful. Again, you being able to stop the clock by utilizing the sidelines and things like that. I, as much as I would like to, Jaylen, Lloyd, Coleman too, they showed some explosive, game-changing playmaking ability and speed last year. I hope that any of the added muscle that they put on doesn't slow them down, doesn't cause them to lose a step. But I'm very excited for where this group is going. I mean, you named a couple there. I'm really excited and hopeful, I guess maybe cautiously optimistic for what a healthy IGC could do. Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda. I'd really like him to stay healthy. So
me too. That's so important. Well, okay. So moving on.
Thank you, Fred. 2-minute performance, John, after that $4.99 massage someone mentioned. Couldn't resist. Thank you, Fred. I appreciate setting them up once in a while, Couldn't help.
So all tight ends are taking catches with the wide receivers. That's what we saw this week. What? Okay. Lindenmeyer, Fedoni,
no, you have to read it.
Borkature, or I can ignore it.
Okay, then I'll
just
have to read it.
because you click on something.
All right, fine. This is just for the benefit of our viewing audience. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, go to about the 29-minute mark.
And, okay, just a question, Fred.
How do you know?
How would you know, Fred? Stalker much?
Notice that's not a denial.
I have no idea. Okay, so
sorry.
Wide receivers and tight ends need to step it up this year with no dropped balls. We have 6 sophomores, 4 juniors, and 3 seniors all together in the tight end and wide receiver room. Even though we're still young skill player-wise, all of these players have extensive play time in college football because we played a lot of freshmen last year. At spring practice, Coach Sat and Coach G, they're working together, and Coach Sat was screaming on the sidelines, "No balls on the ground. There's only air between you and the ball. There's no reason to have a ball on the ground." He was getting after him. I don't think anyone's going to be dropping balls.
As he should.
Yeah, it's good. Intense. I like it.
I'm looking here. Nothing in here that says, all right, here we go. This is passing, Nebraska. Let's see. This is not as ideal as I thought it'd be. We averaged 6.625 yards per catch last year.
Okay.
And I think this is misaligned. We averaged about 136 yards per game receiving. So, not the best. I'd like to see more. More success, less of everything else.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Minnie, can you read this comment for me, please?
Tiger Shark Diver says, ask Fred about our tight ends. He's an expert. Really?
Fred says, I only know about Fedoni, and I hope he stays in one piece.
I know. Okay, so he's still practicing with the brace on. Do you think he's ever going to take the brace off?
I don't think he needs to. I mean, unless it's slowing him down. At this point, he's, that's why linemen wear the braces. Every
they don't
game.
have to run fast.
You can run fast with a knee brace. I mean, I can't, but I'm a trust that Thomas Fedoni can. I can't run. Period. Run to the mailbox and run to the fridge. That's about it. So no, I don't really think there's any need to take it off, and for that added bit of support, I'd say keep it on.
Yeah.
By the way, I started a comment. I don't know if you can see, but I started a comment that you're really going to appreciate later. So.
Okay. No, I can't.
And I mean that sincerely.
Okay, good. What did they say? Probably like, give her a raise. That poor girl. She puts up with so much. Dylan abuse.
That's definitely not it.
No, darn it.
No, hate to break it to you. Tiger Shark Diver says we had one of the best recruiting classes last year for tight ends in college football. I'll say this: we've gone back to back.
History,
maybe not back to back. Because we got Fedoni, I think 3 years ago now, and now with Carter Nelson. So we have done a really great job of recruiting tight end talent. I think where maybe we have faltered a little bit, and I like to think that this coaching staff is not going to fall into those traps, but developing, because I think Fedoni was a top 5 tight end. Carter Nelson was the top tight end in the country, or, at least in consideration. I think he and another player maybe from the South went back and forth, but we now that we're convincing them to stay home or stay close, because obviously Fedoni being from Iowa, the important part is developing them, making them be the best versions of themselves at the college level, and then getting them ready for the next level, because that's how other tight ends are going to view Nebraska as a valid place to go to school, because they're developing NFL talent. I mean, right? Otherwise, you think of, and I hate to say it, I hate to give them any props, but Iowa, I mean, they put Noah Fant in the NFL, they put Sam Laporta in the NFL. In near, can Nebraska do that? Can Nebraska replicate that? Because Jack Stoll, he's in the NFL, but I don't think he was drafted. We have some work to do.
Well, thank goodness we're recruiting, and we're getting transfer portal recruits as well. Because Isaiah Nair, remember I told you that he spoke this week? That guy may be my favorite.
Well, tell us why. That's important.
There's definitely he's gaining on Malachi Coleman, wide receiver, because he's extremely well spoken. When they asked him what he's feeling comfortable with, and he didn't say this, he's very humble, didn't say this bragging or anything. He says, I'm pretty comfortable with creating separation, my football IQ, and 50-50 catches. I thought, that's what we need. That's exactly what we need, thank God. So, really excited about him. And everyone seems to be talking about him as well. I mean, they're talking about a lot of these guys. So,
No, and I think what excites me the most about the wide receiver room is you're getting some experience, but you have a lot of depth. You don't have a lot of, I'd say, veteran experience. You have IGC, and then you got a couple of these transfers coming in.
Right.
But Jaylen Lloyd was a freshman last year. Malachi Coleman was a freshman last year, and then you have a lot of freshmen and sophomores. So there's a lot of time. If guys have the patience, and if they have the want to, then they can really step up their game. There will be opportunities for a lot of those young guys this year.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. So exciting. And he said about Banks, he's excited to play with somebody that has as much experience as he does, and that they're just making each other better. So really cool.
Now, I wasn't a fan at the time. For those of you who are new, gasp, I know. But all that I've ever heard and all that I've ever read about the Husker teams of the 90s is that inner squad competition. That's iron sharpening iron. That's that. How often was it that the defense said that, or I want to say maybe actually probably the offense, saying that the defense, that the toughest defense they would see all year was the one that they were meeting, Monday through Thursday in practice, or something like that. It was that type, and when we can, I'm not going to use the word, when we can bring that type of experience back, and we can bring that mentality back, then these kids are going to want to be, we'll see fewer, I think, players jumping in the transfer portal unless they're just, I don't know, got a bug up their butt. But we're going to really see Nebraska start to return to that place where, they used to be, and where, so many of us Husker fans feel they rightfully belong.
So do you think, okay, Rhule has been wearing this hat all week, or for the last 2 weeks, the RDV hat, relentless, disciplined, and violent. V is for violent. And I was like, I don't really like that word, but I get it. I get it. It's football. I get it.
Football is a violent game.
It is.
What was that?
Do you think that's where it came from? The RDV? Watching like the 90s Huskers?
I don't know. I was surprised. I initially thought you said RVD, and there's only going to be a few in the Chatterfields who are going to understand that reference. But I'm fine with it. If that's where it's from, I don't know. I don't know exactly the origins of that hat. I kind of want that hat now that you mentioned it. Let's see. Talking about the teams in the 90s, James Boardman says Saturday was a day off for them. Zach says the offensive line would tell opposing teams to play and they still couldn't stop it. That's great. I love that. I don't know how much of that is like that boastful bravado and how much of that is actually true. And I'm not here to like call into doubt Zach or anything like that, but that's so. That's a 90s thing. That's a 90s thing to have me like, we're so good. We're going to tell you what we're going to do. It's like a pitcher who's like, all right, I'm telling you, I'm going to throw a curveball. You're not going to touch it. It's that type of, there's a lot of moxie, a lot of,
I love it.
So thank you. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that was not lost on all of you. And Fred, I like yours too. I'm trying to cut back on the swearing sometimes. I'm trying to be a better person. So,
hey, Greg.
Yes, Minnie. Hi, Minnie. Or yes.
Do you want to do some housekeeping?
See, I did dishes earlier today. I did laundry earlier today.
Did you clean your fan blades?
Why? They're not dirty.
Oh, yes, they are.
Minnie, can you see my fan blades? I mean, you can, but can you see any dirt on them? Let's see.
I can. Yes, I can.
No, you can't. Don't lie. Don't bullshit. Those are pristine. Yes, let's do just a little bit of that housekeeping we love so much. The first bit of housekeeping is your weekly reminder, especially if you're on YouTube. And based on statistics, 32 of you are. 382 of you are on X. But if you are on YouTube, make sure that you like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make sure that you ring the bell so that you know every time we go with a new show. And we try to tell you at least 24 hours in advance if we're, when we're doing a new 5 Heart. I know Husker Heat, your Nebraska softball podcast, which is a thing. I don't know if they give you as much warning. And then sometimes I don't see John used to chew me out. He's like, you can't just put the stream together 3 hours before, like 24. And then I'll see Monday at 2:00 in the afternoon. Join us tonight for Monday Night Therapy. So make sure that you ring the notification bell, not just for the live streams, but for John's instant reactions for all things, not just Nebraska, I feel, but anything that's kind of earth shaking. And then, of course, there's the tie-in with John's History of College Football channel as well. So doing these things, you get access to all of it, and it's all free unless you're a member. I don't know if you have to pay for membership. I should know that, but I don't. And then while we're talking about merch, get that sweet, sweet merch at cobbycorn.com. I'm going to talk to John about that corn stalker shirt. I think we got something there. You can get the RTFB shirts. You can get the man-killing mastodons. The only one, apparently, the only name that they're not honoring and using in the spring, golden knights and rattlesnakes and bug eaters. But man-killing mastodons. You want authentic man-killing mastodon merch? Cobbycorn.com has it. So
don't forget about There Is No Hope.
But there is hope.
But there is, I know.
And John has that shirt available too, I'm pretty sure. So,
yes, that's a good shirt.
So cobbycorn.com. And if you want to support John directly, or if you want to know more about his wicked, awful brain injury and Widowmaker heart attack, Been Dead, Never Been to Europe, available on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, go to your app, or go to Amazon on your browser, type in John Johnston. Make sure that you don't put the H in the first name. Make sure you remember it in the last name. Been Dead, Never Been to Europe. He also has Manage My Damage, or Your Damage, or Something's Damage, and then Why Is There a Dent in My Head? So he's got 3 books out on Amazon, and he would appreciate your support. And he's not feeling his best tonight. That's why he is sitting this one out. So,
yeah, I have an idea. Speaking of which, you know how we talked about some ideas for off season, and I said, "Oh, let's do like a trivia game."
I don't remember that part.
The 3 of us. Well, Greggle, does that ring a bell?
That rings a bell, but that allows me to cheat.
No, I have an idea. We could
hold on to your shorts, everybody.
We could do it with the live chat, and the winner could win John's book, Been Dead, Never Been to Europe. Where are you going? Hello?
I'm looking for my copy of the book.
You have one. Well, okay, are you going to sign it?
Why would I sign his book?
Well, why would somebody want to win a used book?
I didn't say it was used. I was just going to say it's an actual thing that you can hold in your hand. I got a lot of books.
Come on, seriously.
Oh, it was hiding up top. Been Dead, Never. And here's the thing. It's not a terribly long read, okay? And it has John's. What I like about this is it jumps from, a little bit of like history of John to, I don't know how old John is, like 98 years old. I'm sitting in the hospital bed and I'm cursing everybody.
He's not even that old. He just acts like it.
That is the long-standing joke. But you also hear about him playing high school football in Curtis, Nebraska. So it's a really worthwhile book. Anyway, that's all. Let's see. We have Don't Put on the French maid costume, Greg, for the love of God. Oh, because we were talking about housekeeping. First of all, Fred, you have no idea how I look in the French maid costume, all right? Tiger Shark Driver wants to learn more about our running back position, and we will have that conversation either next week or the week after.
Or not.
Oh, or not. I guess we're not going to have the few running backs.
Because we still have so many running backs that are injured.
Okay. Sorry. We're not going to talk about running backs. We're not going to measure potential.
It's just that the thing is that
this used to
we
be
we really won't have an idea about running backs until the fall. There's still too many injured guys. I mean, we can do it, but when almost half of your production on running back in running back room is hurt, that kind of hurts talking about it, right?
I think it's the off season. There are no limits. All we do is prognosticate and guess and predict, and then
okay. Did you ever watch? What I have to say.
No. Did you ever watch Ted Lasso on Apple TV? Okay, so in the second season, Roy gets a job working for not Skynet, but whatever the soccer. I'm sorry, football. The pundits are. He's like, what do you think they're going to do? He's like, I don't know. I'm not in there. I'm not in the locker room with them. It's like all we do is we guess, and then we get pissed off when they don't do what we think they're gonna do. Like that's all we do. Like we just guess.
That's true.
So
no,
next week or the week after, we are going to talk running backs.
Okay, deal.
Write it down, Minnie.
I'm writing it down.
Write that down. Brando Sports World almost sounds like they're leaving. Says Greg, thanks for your commitment to coordination. I do it for you all. Minnie, very excited that you're a part of the team. Future looks brighter than Sanders' career at Colorado.
Yeah.
So, and collectively, we have more toes.
Collectively,
I mean, I think I have more toes. So, very important question by Living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the Five Heart Podcast. When are we going to get John to Europe? I have asked John this very question. I said, John, since you've been dead and you've never been to Europe, when are you going to go to Europe? He's like, never.
He does not.
He does not want to go. That being said, Mr. Matney, if you offer to pay for it, I'm pretty sure we could twist his arm. And if you give me that can cooling and we do all of our proper marketing right here, this could include your face right here. Imagine. And I sell all the houses.
Hey, one thing Rhule in his press conference was really big on Omaha. He's like, I love Omaha. That's the best city ever.
He's got to be careful. I mean, he's going to make the J-Skers happy, but I think he's going to insult his base when he does that.
And I was thinking the same thing. I was like, no offense to anyone who lives there, I'm not a big fan of Omaha thus far.
Hold on. I got a lot more comments to get to. I think by the time I get down to the newer ones, Mr. Matney's going to want words. Jason Reeves says, if you want to support John directly, show up and mow his yard. Fred says, the cornstalker sure can be Minnie driving a windowless van.
A white van. All right. So if you're done.
Oh, here we go. Well, Josh just joined us. Josh arrived to the party late. Hi. Finally got here. Read John's book. Read John's book. Where is John? How many beers in is Greg? Read John's book. Where's John? John's not, again, he's not feeling his best. He's had a long week. And this is only my first, and it's empty. So, and to which Fred says, Fred's gone soft. He said a 2-beer max tonight. Shame. So I'm getting beer shamed. I'm getting fat shamed. I can't win.
Greg, it's okay.
Yep. Sky Sports. Thank you. Aaron 1.5 correctly called it the network that Roy Kent got the job on in Ted Lasso season 2. So thank you, Aaron 1.5.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron. Returning production. We have 19 returning starters. Greg.
I'm listening. I'm also following. Oh, here we go. You were talking bad about Omaha.
No, I wasn't.
Well, you said you weren't impressed.
It's not my favorite place thus far. Well, okay. I would say that anyways because Lincoln is.
Fred says, Jesus, maybe fat shaming and then saying Omaha sucks. Yikes.
I know. Sorry, guys. I know.
Tigers are never. They're all. Nobody's happy right now.
It's only because, like I said, everybody I ran into was like going to college there, and they lived across the river, and they were not fans of the Huskers like their parents were. Ew, no.
I got you, TSD. I feel better already.
I expected, you know what I expected? Because I've mentioned this before. There's several Husker bars in Phoenix. There's one that, gosh, who owns it? Is it Rex Burkhead who owns it? Right down the street? I think so. So Moon Valley Grill is what it's called. Anyways, like I've been to these places and I've watched games here, and there's like hundreds of Nebraska fans that show up in Phoenix, Scottsdale. And so I expect it when I go to Nebraska that everybody is going to be dressed in red, that, you know, this was going to be like, of course. But that's not what I saw. So I think I built it up in my head.
Scott Schrader says people over in Omaha are Iowa fans, and I've said not all. Scott, David is right here with us. You cannot say that everybody in Omaha. You can't. We're not painting with such broad strokes tonight. All right.
I started a lot.
We're going to be a little bit more charitable. We're gonna lead with love. We're gonna extend the. No, I'm not going to say that. We're going to extend the hand of friendship to our friends in Omaha as long as they wear red year round, not just during football season.
Sorry. Roger Lindstrom owns Moon Valley Grill.
I had not heard that Rex Burkhead owned any restaurants.
I knew it was somebody. Good. Great. And a lot of ex-players and ex-coaches have gone in with him and like manage it and stuff. So there's all kinds of really cool paraphernalia all around the bar. It's freaking awesome. That's the best
paraphernalia? You mean memorabilia?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
Paraphernalia is like this. By the way, this is not like, I got to preface this. This is not anything inappropriate.
What do you have?
I have a Tootsie Pop. But when you talk about paraphernalia, like that's not
Greg.
You're talking memorabilia. I've never done it, but I've seen enough TV to know.
You did that really well. Are you sure?
I've never smoked crack cocaine. I can guarantee.
I feel like we talk about it enough that somebody here must know something.
I just drink beer. Like that's
okay.
You know.
All right.
Okay. I drink beer and I've cut down on bread and carbs. So, you know.
Are you gonna get like grouchy? Hope not.
Without bread? Like, do you realize that I've only had one bowl of cereal this week? That's kind of a big thing. That's like my breakfast in the morning. I had one bowl, like one half bowl of Cheerios, regular, not even Honey Nut Cheerios on Sunday. I didn't follow it up with a donut either. Getting okay. 70% production. Production coming back. Yeah. I'm gonna start tweaking.
Shoot. Okay. 77% returning production from
Thanks,
per
Fred.
ESPN.com. What?
Fred says it's obvious I never smoke crack.
Okay.
But I'm getting points by Aaron 1.5. 1A plus 3.5.
Okay. Well,
right, back on topic. 90 minutes is our goal today.
77% returning production per ESPN.com.
Is that the highest in the country?
It's like the third highest. Power 5
Still.
schools. Yeah, big. So what is the production? I wanted to make sure that I got this all like tidied up for us. Last year's rushing yards, receiving yards, passing yards, tackles, sacks, tackles for loss, and pass breakup returning to the field.
Question.
No.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what about like kick and punt returning? Not that we ever did any of that, but
actually we did. We had one, if I'm not mistaken, I think we had one takeaway on special teams. What?
I was listening, but I was also reading Fred's comment.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I should know better.
So, Matt Rhule, he studies and knows what most championship caliber teams are doing. He refers to this in almost every single press conference he makes. So the returning production matters because that is what championship teams do.
Okay. It's the mentality, and I don't want to dwell on this on comparisons, because at the end of the day, comparison is the thief of joy. But the fact that he's recruiting so much from high school, he's not just going out and trying to get portal players. I mean, filling a need, yes, from the Jahmal Bankses to the that's the Naylor, right? Isaiah Naylor.
Naylor.
Thank you. The young man from Oregon. I mean, he's filling needs, but he's not overhauling a roster like our neighbors to the west. So that is how you foundationally build for success. And that's all that I've really ever wanted. It's part of why I kind of hate the transfer portal. I understand it in today's game, but if you can get a Thomas Fedoni, or from what we've seen in the last year and a half of Bryce Benhart, if you can Luke Reimer, or Ty, I think Ty Robinson was a transfer, if I remember correctly.
We just made an offer yesterday to the number one interior offensive lineman in the country from USC. Forget his name. But somebody like that.
I mean, you get you get them, you develop them. I don't care if they're 5-star, 4-star, 3-star. If you coach them up and get them ready to play, and get them that production, get them that time on the field, get them the experience, and make them better than serviceable, that's how you turn a program around. And I do believe that's what Matt Rhule's doing. So I know there was quite a bit of attrition when he came on, during the course of that first spring and after spring. And we saw a lot of that with Fred Hoiberg too. Like, you remember that when in Fred Hoiberg's first year, I'm almost positive, correct me if I'm wrong, if there's a diehard Nebraska ball out there, but I'm pretty sure that Thor was the only person who was still on the roster from Tim Miles last year to Fred Hoiberg's first year. I may be wrong, but I want to say that was the turnover that Fred Hoiberg had to deal with. So
it's a lot.
I'm going to scan the comments now for somebody to correct me. So
okay. Well, okay. So because I was like, okay, I got to find this quote from Matt Rhule, because every time he has a presser, he's like, I have my people, studying, like, for instance, once they play us, what do teams go on to do? Do they win? Do they lose? And that's another thing about the 90s teams. They looked at that as well, the Huskers 90s team. They wanted to not only beat them when they played them, they wanted to beat them the next week. They were just so in their heads. So, do you want to talk about spring games?
We can, yes. I don't know a whole lot. I didn't watch any, but I know it's leading into a bigger conversation. What was that look for?
I told you to watch them.
No, you didn't. You said, "Hey, I didn't even know they took place until you said in the group chat, you, me, and John, that Ohio State and Indiana had their spring games last weekend."
Greg,
Minnie.
Are you sure you don't smoke crack?
I am almost 100% sure that I don't smoke crack.
I am telling you. I said to you, P.S. Make sure you watch the Ohio State and Purdue spring game highlights this week. They play tomorrow, and I hope we can dissect and destroy them.
When was that?
That was a message to you.
I don't have. Oh shit! There it is.
Greg, why would I even send a message if nobody's going to read it?
I did read it a week ago. It's not my fault. It was a week ago.
But the game was the next day.
I know. But in my defense, as you recall, we had just finished talking about how the show last week had gone 2 hours and 13 minutes. And I fell asleep in my chair doing the post-production and woke up at 3-something to finish the show to get it out there to the people. So I was not on my,
You weren't on your A game. That's true.
Fred says, Greg smoke crack and Mindy don't care.
I care. And that's the point. I think you guys care. Spring games.
I apologize. I've let you down.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But does it matter about the attendance?
Well, we talked about that last week, right?
We did. And it seemed to really matter. Yes. It matters to us. Does it matter to in the rest of college football world? Does it really matter?
Do you think if Georgia has 20,000 people show up versus 60, does it matter to them? I think
it does.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Ohio State and Indiana, they weren't even charging, right? For tickets?
No. Okay, so Ohio State had 80,012 fans in the stand last Saturday. Wasn't completely sold out. Michigan. Okay, so I was like, okay, I'm going to take the
Michigan was giving them away. You're right.
I'm going to take the Matt Rhule approach here, and I'm looking to see what these championship teams do, right? So I looked to see what Michigan, because they won last year, what they were doing, because they've had so much change in the coaching staff, in players. So they were actually pretty smart about it. Instead of keeping track of how many people are going to be there, they're giving away the tickets for free.
I think because I know in the notes that you provided, Purdue had not even 4,500 people there. I honestly believe that, especially because it's a spring game, so tickets are definitely not as expensive as they are for a regular season game. I think it can be seen as an indictment on the program if attendance is poor.
Yep.
I also think that Colorado with the sellout at 45,000, I'm like, they could open up more seats if they wanted to. I mean, like that's I feel like
no, they can't. They actually can't.
Is that the max? Is that the max that stadium holds?
It's so. You think we have an old stadium? That's the max that stadium holds, but they boast about selling out.
Well, I mean that's fine.
It's Boulder. I mean, who wants to? People in Denver don't want to drive 45 minutes to go watch the team in Boulder, except for now that Coach Prime is there.
So I'll say this, and this is not me. I don't care about Colorado, the state. It's I've been along most of that state, and it's fine. It's scenic. as long as you don't have to deal with people. If you can avoid people in Colorado, if you can get in Colorado and get out and not see another living human being, that's a good trip to Colorado.
I don't think Aaron 1.5 is going to appreciate that.
Is Aaron 1.5 from Colorado?
Yeah.
Probably believes with or agrees with me. Like if I'm seeing Aaron 1.5, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I need to be in an echo chamber. I'm just saying I don't want to deal with the Boulder. Hold on, Dave. I don't know how to take that.
Aw.
Again, you have to tell John to Venmo me. No,
I know.
but it's a very they're doing all they can. I'm not trying to be nice to Colorado, but they still have a little bit of the rose-colored glasses with Prime.
They do.
And so as long as that energy and attention is still on them, I could see them. Boulder's a very look at me type of town. It's what can I do? How can I get on TV? Like if ESPN is going to send a camera crew out to Boulder for the spring game, then you're going to get another 20,000 people outside the gate saying, "Oh, we couldn't get in." That's just I feel like that's a Boulder mentality. That's a Colorado mentality. So,
well, because what's his name? The guy. What's his name? My mind just went blank. Anyways, he went to school there. It's not Josh Pate. It is the other guy, the skinny guy. I can't remember. I met him too. I can't remember his name. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
Because you didn't watch the Ohio State game. He was there.
Correct.
On the field.
That's a gosh darn shame. We gotta address some of these comments.
Okay.
Fred Sacco says 10:06 Minnie deflects her insults on Omaha to an unsuspecting Aaron 1.5. It's Game of Thrones around here. And Aaron says that Fred, it's the Red Wedding stream for sure. And Jason Reeves says I'm a dirty hippie. Well, him, not me. So hold on. So Mr. Matney, living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor.
Being so nice tonight. Everyone's just full of love.
Well, they probably feel sorry for me.
I don't think
usually you pick on me so much. So Mr. Matney has done a super chat of $20. Holy shit. Greg, I owe you a beer for mentioning my YouTube channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Buddy, I don't know if it'll get you any business. I mean, is this a reliable face? But we appreciate you greatly. And honestly, if you do have a can coolie, send it my way. I'll put it on my can of the week, and we'll make sure that we continue to pump up your YouTube channel, pump up your business, and that's what we do. This is. I take offense when I come across a podcast or a stream that is hosted by an already well-known globally celebrity. And they call it, well, we appreciate this is a grassroots podcast. No, it's not. You have been famous globally for 25 years. This is not a grassroots effort. What we started here at Corn Nation, what I do on my other stuff, that's grassroots because nobody knows. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think anybody cares who the hell I am. So I am blessed to be here with all of you. This tremendous community that we have built. David, thank you so much. Make sure you send John a message to Venmo me the money. So, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Let's see. Fred says we're full of love because Greggy hasn't been backed into a corner and Minnie hasn't beat us to death yet.
Guys.
Actually, and I have a shirt that says I drink and I know things. That's what I do. I drink and I know things. I have that shirt. Maybe it's not Nebraska shirt, but maybe next week I'll wear that shirt, Aaron 1.5. So Fred says, here's where John launches a heartfelt soliloquy. Thank you. And John, if he's watching, flushes his toilet. John's not watching. I don't know how to.
Okay.
All right. Where are we at here? We are into spring games. Are we going to talk
talking
about
spring games
and the Ohio State game? Is that where we're moving to?
Yeah. Guys, how disappointed were you when we did not have tackling in our spring game back in, like, what was it, 2019, 2020?
Are you asking me? Well, it wouldn't have been 2020 because that was
correct.
COVID.
2019.
So I know you're asking me because I can verbally respond.
I'm asking everyone.
I know.
Yes.
I'll say this. I was disappointed. At the end of the day, it's like anything else. Your body becomes calloused to the contact to an extent. And obviously, if somebody wipes out your knees on a tackle, that's a different story. But you become accustomed to the contact, and so I was disappointed. I just don't think that like, look, it's not 2020. We don't have to be contactless,
Right. Thank you. But for some reason, Ohio State decided to do the thud. They call it the thud game. I don't know. It's where it's tackle free, but you go full speed until you get to the ball carrier and everybody stays standing up. Kind of, I mean, I might as well go out there and play. Am I right?
No.
No, it's yes. If that's what we're doing, that's what we're talking about. All right, you guys, I see some people here mentioning Dylan. I wasn't even going to mention Dylan at all this entire show, but you guys keep doing it. So I'm going to tell you something.
Oh, shit.
Dylan.
What did you all do?
Dylan had his Bussin' with the Boys interview, and they asked him a question I didn't know the answer to. They wanted to know why he never played football up until high school. That's when he started to play his freshman year. And you know what he said?
Oh yeah, I do know what he said actually.
What'd he say?
I'm just, Tiger Shark Diver said I thought it was cool and humble that DR said he was scared to play football until he was a freshman. So I've been starring DR comments that I felt needed to be addressed. Not all of them. Good Lord, I did not star all the DR comments, but I've starred a few. So
yeah, because football is a scary, violent sport. I mean, what kind of game are you putting on for your fans? Sorry, I just don't. I think that it's just sad.
Aaron 1.5 says 9:13 p.m. Mountain Time. Minnie tries a new angle to get closer to DR by offering to play ball. Being on the sidelines wasn't enough. She needs to be in the huddle. Here's the thing. Here's why being I say no to being a part of that thud game or whatever they call it is, even my running at full speed is not beneficial to anybody. It's not simulating anything realistic to a game. So I just, let's let the young men play the football and let's just watch, or in my case, not watch if it's not Nebraska, and go on with our lives accordingly.
Yep, for sure. Okay. Chip Kelly.
Oh, shit, there's more. Okay.
One of the things that I loved about watching the Ohio State game, and the guy that I can't remember his name, asking or talking to Ryan Daly on
Joel Clapp?
on the field. Yes, thank you. Him.
It's not me. It was one of the other people in the chat earlier. So
yeah. So anyways, they're talking to Ryan Daly, and he goes, or Day, excuse me, Ryan Day?
Ryan Day.
I so get confused with names. He goes, yeah, so right now, he's not calling the offense. He goes, right now, the quarterback will throw it. And they were throwing it. They were like maybe at the 10-yard line, so like right there. And he goes, oh, I mean, I guess we're not throwing it and running it in. He's like all confused, like, why in the world would he call that play? So I love that like rawness because you can tell already there's a little bit of this. I enjoy it.
Do you appreciate Schadenfreude?
Who?
I believe I'm pronouncing that right. Schadenfreude. It's taking joy in other people's misfortune.
No.
I mean, it's kind of exactly what it sounds like.
No, but here's the thing.
Schadenfreude. Schadenfreude. Yeah.
I actually, I mean, I suppose when it comes to football, yeah. But no, I don't want anyone getting hurt like that. No, absolutely not.
No,
But
of course not. Schadenfreude is the experience of pleasure, joy, or self-satisfaction. Fred, stop. That comes from learning of or witnessing the troubles, failures, pain, or humiliation of another.
Come on. You cannot tell me that every single one of us, you, Greg, and every single one of the chat would not take joy in that. Delight.
I will say this. There used to be, and I don't think it is anymore, but on every day should be SBS, every day should be Saturday. I believe it was there. They used to have a This Week in Schadenfreude. If you Google it, it's probably, I don't think they've done it in a few seasons, but they would look at what happened in college football and they would post like 5 or 6, epic fails for the public to laugh. But I do think they discontinued that particular series, but that was a lot of fun. I want to say again, I believe it was Every Day Should Be Saturday.
Okay, so what do you call it then when you also find humor in your own mishaps?
I don't have a German word for that one, Minnie.
Well, why not? Because I also find humor in, okay, could anything else have gone wrong last year with our tight ends?
No.
No, let me just recount this for you. We hire a coach that gets a DUI 1 month before our first game. We have this amazing transfer coming in who doesn't get NCAA approval and then gets
Frederick.
What?
He says you call that the 5-hour podcast.
Okay.
Well played.
But what I'm trying to say is the day before, he gets in trouble with the police. And then just everything else it's funny now looking back. I mean, all the things that we've had to go through as a fan base. If you can't laugh about it, I mean, I just think, wow, do we have just like the worst luck? You know how they say lightning can't strike twice in the same place? Well, it does in Lincoln.
Well, the old saying is, if we didn't have bad luck, we'd have no luck at all.
Yes.
So I want to spend just a few minutes here before we wrap up with our Dylan Raiola monument series, I suppose. I saw this on Twitter just a couple days ago, and it was quote unquote leaked. The Super League that has been proposed. I'm going to put the image up there for everybody to bask in. I just want you to know it took a long time and a lot of effort to make this image work. But this was from the college football Reddit, or if you're on X, if you're on X, then it's Reddit CFB. But take a look at this Super League that again has been now. Has it actually been proposed? I don't know. Is this anything that is factual? I don't know. The only thing that I've ever known that was leaked that turned out to benefit anybody in humanity was the leaked test footage of the first Deadpool movie. That turned out to be pretty all right for those people. I'm gonna take down our fancy little thing there. So you can see we have the West division, the Southwest, the Plains, which is where Nebraska falls in, which is the Big 12. You have the Midwest of the Big Ten, the Northeast, which is the Big East. You have the South, which is the ACC. I'm sorry, the Southeast, which is the ACC. The South, which is SEC, and the underleague division. How would you like to just be in that underleague division, but in this proposed leaked, whatever you want to call it, in the what would be essentially the new Big 12 would be BYU, Colorado, Iowa State, Kansas State, Minnesota, Nebraska, Utah, and Wisconsin. And I'll say this: if this was the plan that they were going with, and this has nothing to do with like fear or anything or just overall, but I would kick out Iowa. I don't think, first of all, I don't think Iowa would ever be associated with anything that's not called the Big Ten, and probably Wisconsin as well. I think some changes would be made. I think you'd probably absorb Missouri instead of one of those two schools. I feel like this needs to be reshuffled a little bit. Also, you lose Penn State back to the Big East from the Big Ten. The Big Ten would look like this. It would be Cincinnati, Illinois, Indiana. You got Louisville, Michigan, Michigan State, again, Missouri, Northwestern, Ohio State, and Purdue. You have three long-time like OG charter members of the Big 12. I'm sorry, Big 10 in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin, all finding themselves in the Big 12. I don't know. I saw this. I said, this sounds like it could be something fun and a visual aid. We didn't have any other visual aids for you tonight. So I thought it'd be interesting discussion point. Minnie, what are your thoughts on this? Again, I say propose, but this might just be somebody's weird fever dream. Or in Jason Reeves' case, a stoner's nightmare on the screen. Jason, do we need to get you some help? Do you need an intervention?
Jason Reeves. Okay, so Greg, when you first showed this to me, I'm like, come on. Seriously, who is smoking crack now?
Oh, it's not me. We've established that.
This is insane. No, of course. I mean, this is insane. The Big Ten and the SEC, there's no way that they would forgo all of the negotiations. We now have 18 teams in the Big Ten and 16 in the SEC?
I was addressing Jason.
Okay.
Jason was, I said I'd never smoke crack. He's like, I dare you. I'm like, no. I didn't even notice that, Vince. You're right. Wyoming didn't even make the underleague division. That makes me sad. Makes me feel bad for our Cowboy friends.
Really?
Who are, at least as of recently, kind of better than we are.
So I looked it up to see who put together this little graph thing. And it's a group called College Sports Tomorrow. And it's made of 20 people. So I looked up College Sports Tomorrow, and of course, they came up with the idea of creating a super league. They tried to get meetings with, the Big Ten and the SEC and all of the other conferences. The only conference that would see them was the ACC.
Oh. Well, the ACC's having its share of bad luck, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't see anything coming from this.
I like this. Aaron 1.5 says, College Sports Tomorrow sounds like a cult to me. I mean, you could say the same about coordination, really.
It is a cult, for sure.
So I thought, at first glance, Scott, I thought Maryland in the underleague division. Maryland actually is in the Northeast, and what you're seeing there is Miami of Ohio. That's right, Miami of Ohio in there with Boise. That underleague division would be tough from because there's no geographic, common sense to that. Because again, you have Boise State, but you also have Miami of Ohio, Temple, Tulane. Looks like I think UNLV. My eyes are failing me now. James Madison. So, not Maryland. Maryland would be in the Northeast. They'd be actually with Notre Dame, Penn State, Pitt, Rutgers, Boston College, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, Syracuse. So See?
Yeah.
Not just a hat rack, my friend.
The reason that they came up with this is to help fund the minor sports at risk. The money would account for compensating players in some fashion. Yeah. It's all about money.
Players are going to get paid. If I know anything about college football or college athletics, it's the kids are going to get paid. It's like I rewatched basketball a few weeks back. Did you ever watch basketball in the 90s? It's hilarious. It's worth the watch.
Is that's not White Men Can't Jump?
No, that would be White Men Can't Jump. This is basketball.
Okay.
It's from the creators of South Park, so kind of go into it with that type of comedic mentality. But they're asked the question of like, because the league doesn't allow players to move from team to team, like no free agency, so you can't cash in on the big things. Like, so one of the evil guy, the villain in the movie, he says, "What do you think that Shaq made all of his money in Orlando?" And the guy's like, "No, he made it all in college. Everybody knows that." So.
True.
I had to pull a little taffy. Fred, I apologize. I hope I left enough breadcrumbs for that one. But anyway, so that's that. I just thought the concept was interesting. I've always said I would love to see you go back to a Big 8 type. I don't necessarily need Colorado in. In fact, I wouldn't necessarily need Colorado. I'd be all right to actually keep Iowa and dump Colorado, but Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Iowa State, Missouri, Nebraska, I feel like would be a nice, revamped Big 8, but we'll never get there. So.
All right.
Fred says, "Ick, you pull your own taffy on your own time, Greg." Yeah. It's my show, Fred. Don't forget that. All right. Let's get to some of these starred comments. And then we're going to we won't get out of here quite at 90 minutes, but we'll be all right.
We're doing so good. Yeah.
I think so. Let's see. TSD says that Dylan was surprisingly cool on the Bussin' with the Boys podcast with Will Compton. I know we addressed a little bit of that before.
Dylan, he really was.
There is. Yes.
I'm not going to say anything.
Okay.
There's plenty I could say, but I won't.
I was going to say, we are trying to, lightning round these comments. So
I get it. Okay.
Living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the Five Heart podcast, says, looking back at last year's team, how many of the interceptions were due to receiving core and the offensive line? Can you divvy up responsibility a third each way, a third to the line, a third to the? I would say probably, if anything, the receivers are maybe on the hook the least.
You're being way too nice. First of all, you're being way too nice. It's not a third. Come on. It's mainly the quarterback position.
I know. But that's why I was going to say I was going to let the receivers off the hook because they can't control where the ball is thrown. And at times, the offensive line, while it was much improved over the year before, didn't always put the quarterbacks in the best position to succeed. So if we want to remove the wide receivers from responsibility completely, or maybe like 10%, could they be 10% responsible? I don't know. I would say probably about 60 to 65% on the QB, maybe even 70, and then the leftover on the offensive line.
How many? That's right. How many catches should they have made? There's so many catches that were right there, and it's like they dropped it. And I feel like so much of that has to do with just experience and confidence, because the more you play, the more confident you'll be. So.
Fred says many of the wide receivers couldn't protect the quarterback, so it's still a third apiece. That's a funny one.
Okay.
A blazing fast wide receiver creates separation and an easier target to hit. I'll be honest with you, I clicked this one by accident, David, but I'm glad I did. It just populated at the right time on the thing. I would, of course, and we have Danny Dimes and we have the 70-yard arm, so. You got to think that our quarterbacks are going to be a little bit more precise, a little bit more accurate.
Yeah.
In the new year. So,
and Heinrich is looking really, really good. His throwing motion is amazing. It's so improved.
QB1.
You never know.
All right, moving on. Brando Sports World says it's so interesting that we hired a wide receiver coach that's so young. As long as we start seeing results within the next 2 years, I won't pass judgment. But his youthfulness as a position coach.
I think it made a lot of people angry. It still does, because the question is still out there. I hope he has a chance to prove himself.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, let's get a little confidence going and build up that track record of success for him. So let's see. We talked a little bit about Thomas Fedoni, and I was uncertain of where he was coming out of high school, but Scott Schrader says Fedoni was number 1 tight end recruit, and number 2 is Brock Bowers from Georgia. Bowers will probably be drafted in the top 10 next week. So
that's crazy.
Timing, location, I suppose, and injuries, I think, factor into those. Let's see. Fred says, I think the only thing we can hope for is that the Rhayolas birth a kid who's a tight end also. Otherwise, we're doomed. And Aaron Rostovsky says, have the Haloos started pumping out kids yet? I don't think so. And even if they did, we'd probably be 16 to 15 to maybe 18 years away before seeing them. Roy Halou Jr. was something else. What a remarkable athlete. Let's see. I don't recall. Oh, when you were discussing, I believe, spring games, and I chuckled, and you said, why are you laughing? And this was the comment that I was laughing at. And now I know why I started. Fred says, I think Greg gets the full metal jacket haircut to cut weight for the doctor. Says, I know, I sure as hell do. Which cracked me up. I appreciated that comment. And then because I broke format and got yelled at, Fred says, sorry to break format. I'll say 10 Our Dillons and 10 Hail Minis as pendants. I love it. Harmless blasphemy, if such a thing can be.
That's our type of humor.
I understand exactly where Fred's going with this one. Halous and Rhayolas will be like the WWE. There's something about that. We'll say bloodline. Am I right, Fred? I'm right. Anyway, let's see. Aaron says that Fred got in trouble Monday for mentioning DR and transfer in the same sentence.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to do that. Not allowed to do that. And Blaine says to John and Mother Husker, well, or I don't know, Greg, I guess maybe John's not here. Although I can't do anything. So the cornrows for Corn Huskers challenge, I would, but my head looks like a field of stubble. So I guess for you and John, Blaine wants you to braid your hair into cornrows for Corn Huskers.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, come on.
Thank you.
You can do it.
Cornrows?
Yeah. Do you know what cornrows are in your hair?
Yeah, but I don't think so.
I think it would look stellar.
Greg, how about this? You show us your cornrows.
I'm lacking a little bit of what would be necessary to make that happen.
You can have a wig.
Yeah. I wouldn't even know. Actually, I would know where to find them.
It's like at the Halloween store.
Let's just say I can't
seen
afford
them.
it. How about that? All right. So let's see.
Maybe we can get a super chat for your cornrow wig.
Don't do it, David. David Matney, living in Omaha. David Matney, the official realtor of the 5 Heart Podcast, says nil funds for former star players to generate offspring. Let's see.
That is fun. Oh, I wanted to mention one thing.
I'm not going to.
So last year, I at the end of the season, I wanted to know. I'm like, what is the deal? what is the exact number of players that you can have on the roster, right? Because there's all these rules like scholarships and walk-ons and like who can travel to a game. 85 players last year, may change, but so I wanted to count how many players each team in the Big Ten had. Do you know that Michigan had the most players on their roster? So how did they get away with that? And I think it may have had to do with something that is taking place right now, because now we're not differentiating who's a scholarship player and who's a walk-on because of NIL.
Mm-hmm.
Just a thought. I wanted to throw it out there.
Okay.
Just something to talk about.
Let's see. I'm not going to read that one, Jason. I'm going to read this one. TSD said at 9:29 says, DR doesn't skip leg day like most Polynesians. my interpretation, the reason I started for this moment was like no Polynesians, like all the other Polynesians, DR doesn't skip leg day. That's how I interpreted it. If you're reading something else into that, you viewer, that's on you.
I don't get it.
I don't either. All right, let's see. All right. Last but not least here, this is a great one from Melissa. Happened 40 minutes ago, Melissa. I apologize. You know how this show goes by now. Greg. You should give a shout out to Greg. Greg Sharp, the voice of the Huskers. Bad news if I hadn't heard. I had heard. I think everybody has heard, but if not, if this is news to you, Greg Sharp revealed earlier this week a cancer diagnosis and said it's going to affect, probably taking him a little away from some of the baseball broadcasts, and he hopes to be, back in time for football. Cancer sucks, so we're Husker Nation does what Husker Nation does, and we rally around our own. We've seen it here. God, we have over 500 people watching this right now. So, that this is,
he's so awesome. I love on Saturdays, I get to listen to him nearly every Saturday that I'm not actually in Lincoln because my kids play soccer. So it's the only way that I can get the live stream is by listening to his play-by-play. And I absolutely love how he does it.
Yeah. Fred says we'll take care of it. That's one thing, about Nebraska. Going back to, the Team Jack, in the Team Jack Foundation. I mean, and I'm not saying this is exclusively Nebraska. I think that fan bases across the country or across the world, unless they're total a-holes, we're good at picking one another up. I think that Nebraska has a special bond. It's what brings everybody here tonight. No, not like the Mafia. I know Greg probably thinks the other sentiment. No. I was only positive, Fred. But lift him up in your thoughts, and he's got a fighting spirit, and I know he wants to be around long enough to see Nebraska, return to where we belong. So keep Fred, or not Fred, Fred too, but keep Greg in your thoughts. And if you're a believing individual, keep him in your prayers as well. And, just be understanding of the fact that due to treatments and things like that, he might miss a little bit of his regularly scheduled programming. And we know that you have a lot of options on a Thursday night. We appreciate the time that you spend with us. We talk about this off air quite a bit, but it's really a tremendous community that we have built here. So I want to thank you all. This is not another heartfelt soliloquy. This is just the ending of the show. So it always is a little bit sad for us, but we hope that you enjoyed this show for the regulars, for any newbies stopping by. We do the show every week, Thursday nights, 9:00 Central. It is the only time zone that matters. Sorry, Josh, if you're listening, watching this later. Josh said that YouTube kept screwing up. I think he might be watching maybe on Facebook. I don't know, but he stopped commenting. So you know how that goes. If he's not here commenting, is he really here? And that goes for all of you hundreds on X. I don't know if you can comment on X, but if you can, find a way to interact, because we have a lot of fun. We know all the people, who are here in chat. Minnie was once at Chatterfield as well, and she promoted herself onto the show. I can't promote myself to a pay raise, but as long as I'm making more than she is, I guess I'm happy. I don't know. But that is it for this. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Just keep dreaming. Maybe one day, Greg. You never know. Look at me. I mean, I'm living proof.
As they say in Rudy, right before his friend Pete gets killed in the industrial accident, dreams are what make life tolerable. So for that, and to a special shout out to Blaine Cole, who's visiting us from the future because he's in Japan. I'm pretty sure they're on the other side of the dateline. So tell us how Friday is, I guess. Anyway, I digress. For Minnie Hunt, the co-host extraordinaire, I'm Greg Mahochko. This is the 5 Heart Podcast. We remind you each and every week that 5 Heart is all the heart you need. Minnie?
Go Big Red!
I didn't feel that petulant at all. So